Hi guys, welcome back to our channel, The Cosmic Giggle.
Hi.
On today's episode, we are going to be talking about death.
Death. Dun 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 dun.
No laughing matter.
Well, that's why we're called The Cosmic Giggle.
Yeah.
So, what are we unpacking about death today?
Death and rebirth. It's a part of life. It's something that's completely inevitable.
Yes. You can't stop it. It happens. It comes for everything and everyone. And it's a scary thought, but in a weird way, death isn't just an ending. It can be a beginning for a lot of people, whether it is a physical death or an ego death, a spiritual death, or you lost a lot of things in your life. It can be the worst thing to ever happen and the best thing to ever happen.
Sometimes moments like that where you're at your lowest or everything gets taken away from you, it's a hinge moment, kind of like a realization, or it can be a turning point for people in their faith. It can be a turning point in a lot of people's lives when they've realized, oh, I've been making some pretty bad habits, or you learn from others' mistakes from their own death, where it's like, okay, well, their lifestyle may have caused this, and that's gonna make it a turning point for me to be more mindful on my life. So it's very interesting. I feel like death and rebirth is a part of life, and I feel like it's so much easier when you open your arms and you accept it and kind of embrace the change, no matter how hard and challenging it is.
And of course, we know that it's easier said than done, but at the end of the day, if you look back at a time where you've lost something, what has come from it? Have you gained anything? Sometimes it's good to reflect on that because maybe you haven't even realized it, that one pivotal hinge moment was a catalyst for something more than you ever could expect. I've experienced that myself. I've met many clients and friends and mentors that have experienced that as well, where they've lost a husband, a father, a mother, and although it was devastating, they did things that they never thought they were going to do, and they're thriving. And it's so weird. It's weird to think that.
Yeah, like in the moments when time feels like it's standing still, you gather yourself, you take a moment and try to heal, and then you are slingshotted forward farther than ever, to where it's like, okay, like I'm gonna fully live my life now, because maybe I'm living now for this person that I lost, or I'm creating these memories because I know that they would have supported me, or it's something that they always wanted me to do. So I'm gonna just try it, and then you end up loving it. So
right, yeah,
it can be a huge pivotal moment for a lot of people's lives, and I always like to view everything, no matter how horrible it is, as like I'm still able-bodied. I'm still grateful for the things that I do have. Let's try to learn whatever we can learn, even if it feels like there is nothing to learn. There's always something that you can gain from life, no matter how hard and how challenging and how sad and depressing things can be.
Right. So let's talk about our personal experience, of course, because we can say all this, but if we're just saying it and we haven't experienced it, people are like, okay, yeah, sure, whatever, Sandy, whatever, Kayla. So I would say,
what do you guys know? You guys haven't experienced it. Little did you know. Unfortunately, we speak from experience.
To my dismay. From experience, I lost my father back in 2021. I was 22 years old, and it was a hinge moment. It was tragic. I was shocked. He was only 50. It was very sudden. You're never prepared. You're never prepared for something like that. It doesn't matter if you know it's coming or if not. It's death. And you know that you're not going to see them again in the physical, and that's hard. So, horrible situation, just overnight. It's like my whole world just was falling apart. Like, how am I going to be without my dad? And, it's hard. You're going to grieve, and everybody does that differently. Some, like, at first, thankfully I had you to help me along the way, but for me, it was, like, crying and then joking about him, and then I'm okay, and then I'm crying and hugging her, and it's just all over the place. But because of my dad's passing, I really was like, I want to make him as proud as I possibly can. I want to give him life through my actions and my choices and how I choose to live my life now that he's gone. So I threw myself into acting, and I threw myself into just working on my spirituality and my health. And because of my dad's passing, I've created so much in his honor and his memory, and just wanting to be that daughter he could be proud of. So I've started a business. I've done acting in movies and TV shows, and we've done amazing things together.
Yeah.
And I don't think I would have gotten this far this quickly if my dad hadn't passed. What about you?
Well, I just want to say I'm so grateful that I was able to be there for you and be there to experience it with you, so you didn't feel alone. I had dealt with my uncle passing. It was definitely challenging. It was hard. But having my experience with death, I felt like I was able to try and be there for you as best I could. I also feel like because of your dad passing, you were able to grow so much. And that in turn affected me too, to where you were challenging me to grow. And then we were challenging each other to grow. And I truly feel like our friendship flourished even more because of that, which is such a blessing in disguise.
Right.
And it's something that, looking back in retrospect, you can be like, yeah, like I can see how positively this horrible travesty affected me. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm sure you would have your dad back in the heartbeat if you had the choice, but what are you going to do?
Exactly.
That's not a possibility at the moment. Like, we're going to look at it in the best way possible, because what else are you going to do? Are you going to sit there and wallow and let it consume you? No, life goes on.
It has to.
And he would have wanted you to live the way that you're living. And I'm sure he would be so proud of you and all that you've accomplished and everything that you've done. He really would. Like, it was funny when we went skydiving. I had bought her a ticket to go skydiving, and she wore her dad's ring where his ashes are in the ring. And I was like, your dad went skydiving with us. So it's amazing moments like that where it's like he totally would have loved it. And I'm sure he was there with us in spirit.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Actually,
he was. He always wanted to be a bird.
Yeah, a daredevil.
He was a daredevil. And I took him to go fly with us and jump out of the sky.
I know. Isn't that just... It's such a beautiful way of looking at things, and it kind of circles back to our first episode of Perspective, which is so funny. But yeah, Death and Rebirth is such a chaotic yet beautiful and can be so peaceful when you embrace it.
It's inevitable, once again, and you can either let it keep you stuck in the past and hold you back and just keep you trapped, but that's not what your loved one would want. Nobody wants that for someone that they had to leave behind. So it's about building the pieces and becoming the best version of yourself so that you can continue to aspire and prosper and be the person that they would want you to be. And not just for them, but for yourself. Nobody deserves to have their still living life ended because of someone else's physical life. You just have to move forward. And it's not instant. It's never going to be instant. You know, do what you need. Hold space for what you need. Cry if you need to. Be angry.
And take it one day at a time. You can't eat like a whole elephant in a day. You know, you gotta take one bite at a time.
Hopefully not at all.
Hopefully not at all, right?
But if you're
if you're into that, no, but you just take it one day at a time, 1 hour at a time. If you had the strength to get up and get out of bed today, like, applaud yourself. You are doing it. Even if it is a small win, it's still a win.
It's a win.
Yeah.
A win is a win.
A win is a win.
It's just, 1% better every single day accumulates. You might not see instant results, and you're not going to be 100% all of the time, and that's okay. But if you put in the effort to just be 1%, come on, we can do that. We can do 1%. It's waking up and brushing your teeth twice that day instead of once, you know?
Mhm.
That's the 1%. It doesn't have to be so huge and magnificent. Magnificent. But it's just all intentional efforts over time that will make that huge difference.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like with my own experience of like death and rebirth was recently there was a hurricane in Florida called Hurricane Helene, and my house ended up getting flooded 3 feet. I was there when it happened. It was an absolute like travesty. I had lost everything that I had ever built in my 25 years of gone in a matter of hours, literally washed away by Mother Earth. And it was something that was completely inevitable. Like, I couldn't prevent it, even if I had tried, no matter how many sandbags, no matter what I could have done, it was going to happen. It was kind of for me, you know? Horrible. It was devastating. But did I let it consume me? No. I saw this as an opportunity to rebuild stronger than ever, emotionally, physically, mentally, and then physically with the house. These are moments that shake your foundation. They shake everything that you thought that you knew and make you question everything. And in those moments, it's so important to just have faith in your own resilience, take it one day at a time, and realize that maybe this happened for me.
Yeah. Instead of
To
to me.
Yeah, like challenge yourself with that question. What are you gaining from this? I feel like I was able to gain so much insight. Like something my dad says is like my brain expanded because I experienced something like that. And it's true. I have so much more depth to me. I have so much more empathy for people who have experienced something like that because it was something I had experienced. Now, it being like a hinge moment, I felt like I was able to dive deeper into my own faith and my own spirituality to a point that I never thought I would be at, where I'm like meditating every day, I'm being more disciplined, I'm trying to learn as much as possible. And I'm also like letting go, not caring of the idea of what people have over me because life is short. I could have lost my life that night and it would have been a life of potential regret, of moments where like I could have tried harder, I could have cared less about what people thought of me. I could have taken more risks and I didn't. Why? So it challenged me with these questions as well, and I felt like although it was a horrible thing and something that I would never wish upon like my worst enemy, it was a moment that created so much strength and resilience within me that like no one can ever take that away from me now. Like I have so much more trust in myself and in my capability and in my strength and what I have to offer. So, it's definitely interesting and never did I ever think that I would be saying, "Oh, I'm so grateful that this happened to me because oof, it was hard. I would rather be naive." But, it comes with great power comes great
Great
responsibility,
responsibility.
right? So,
Yeah.
you can go ahead and call me Spider-Man.
But it's true. It's so true because, you know, it's almost as if you spent so much time building up this false sense of security for yourself just to have it to crumble.
Yeah, like a house of cards that I had built thinking that it was made of
So
cement.
meticulously.
Yes.
And it just fell down
Mhm.
and your foundation was shaken. But because of that, you're actually becoming secure. You are secure. And more than you ever thought you could be or even was possible
Yeah.
because you had the opportunity to revisit that foundation and be like, okay, where can I really fix these cracks? Where can
Yeah.
I fill in? What have I been ignoring or not seeing that is bared to me now?
Like one thing that I realized was I can't control anything. I can only control me. I can only control my emotions, my actions, and that's all I am going to try to control.
Yeah.
I'm not going to try to control others and their actions or what they could, should, would do,
Mhm.
because I can only control me. And that was something that I felt like I had to learn the hard way, also while going through the hurricane situation. So the matter of like releasing control was such a powerful move, and something that I didn't know that I needed unless I would have went through something like that. The pattern would have kept going, the cycle would have kept repeating, and I would have had to keep tripping over the same rock until I was like, I'm sick of this rock, I'm gonna move it.
Right.
So
that is a really good analogy, because you don't think it's so simple to just move the rock over,
but then it's like, duh.
Yeah.
Duh.
Like, oh, this rock has been here, I should move it.
All of the most like obvious realizations are the ones that are the most impactful, with the most depth, where it's like, duh, yeah, move the rock, or just step around it. Like, why are you tripping over that same rock, right?
Yeah.
So it's funny, like, how many realizations are such a duh moment.
Right. But yeah, it's about breaking the cycles. And this is something that I kind of believe, is that sometimes the universe will make things unbearable. If you're in a cycle, whether it's a relationship or, grieving, and you just can't break the grief cycle, or just any cycle in life, whether it's work, emotional, childhood trauma, sometimes the universe is going to make things so unbearable. The universe or God, whatever you believe in, they have a certain direction that they're pushing you to. And if you just keep tripping over that same rock, they're going to make it a boulder. And then you're going to really have to be like, oh, I have to get around this. So I know both of us, there's a lot of patterns that we ended up breaking because of a hinge moment, because we finally had to look at that rock and be like, oh,
the rock that you were avoiding.
Yeah, that you're like, oh, this is actually a problem. Yeah. Okay, let's
deal with it. Even if you don't want to, it's like, ugh, all right, I gotta get it done.
Right, and it can be so small and simple. You can get it right away, or something tragic happens and you lose something, and then it just plummets you into a forced awakening. But it's either you let that consume you, or you're like, all right, okay, I get it. Let's get to work, and what can we gain from this?
Yeah, moving past it, truly.
Yeah.
So that's us in our opinions on death and rebirth, grief.
And I feel like the entire point of this is, just because it's an ending doesn't mean it has to be the end. Books have series, chapters continue. You can always pick back up, you can always restart, you can always move that rock.
Don't let it become a wall in front of you.
So you got this.
Yeah, you got this. And don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe on our channel if you want to hear more. And go ahead and drop some comments down below on what you think our next topics should be.
Yes. What should we talk about?
Right? Like, let's have a yap sesh. Yeah. And you guys pick the topic.
Right, exactly.
So thanks for joining us on our podcast today on death.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. He did it. This little guy, he got a little bump on his head.